Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel on this beautiful Labor Day, Monday, the 2nd of September, 2024. Welcome to my channel, Marie Cooks Up a New Life. My name is Marie. I'm a 69-year-old living my own best life, all on my own here in my little senior citizens flat with my two cats, enjoying life as it comes. And I like to share recipes with you, stories with you, all kinds of things with you. Anyways, today I thought I would charge things up a bit. I'm going to cook actually two of my favorite foods through the years. Anyways, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. And without further ado, let's get cooking. The first recipe which I'm going to share today is for a cornbread. Now this was my late mother-in-law's cornbread recipe. I first experienced it back, it was in the 1970s. She had written me a little notebook full of their family tried and trues and given it to me for Christmas that first year that my husband and I were married. Anyways, it's very simple. There's nothing complicated about it, but it's something that we've always loved. It uses simple ingredients that you probably already have in your home right now. I doubt very much that you would have to go out and find anything, but you might. It just all depends on what kind of a kitchen you keep. The second recipe which I'm going to cook for you is a simple corn chowder. Now this was a family favorite and something that I used to make all the time after church. It was quick, it was easy, it was filling, and the family just loved it. So for now, I'm going to put you down to here and I'm going to start showing you how to make this lovely cornbread. Actually, my mother-in-law used to call it corn cake. I don't know why, but there you go. Anyways, it's a cornbread. So let me put you where you can see what's going on. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to have to do is to, this is a type of a quick bread, and a quick bread means it's a type of bread that's usually the leavening used in it is baking powder or baking soda or both, and no yeast is involved. They go together very quickly, they cook very simply, and they're delicious. You'll need an 8-inch square pan, which I have right here, and I'm just going to spray it with some cooking spray to get it ready for the oven. I'm never quite sure how much to use of this. I want to make sure all my bases are covered because I hate it when things stick. So that's your square pan. You can also use a small muffin tin. I remember the first time I actually saw this baked was at my mother-in-law's. Was the first time that my husband had taken me home to meet his family. And my sister-in-law was there, and this would have been in maybe 1978, something like that. Anyhow, my mother-in-law was still working at the time, and she had taken some baked beans out of the freezer, and she wanted to have this cornbread with it for supper. And she had to go to work, so she asked my sister-in-law would she mix it together and put it in the oven before she got home from work. So my sister-in-law said yes, and then my sister-in-law decides to go off and do her own thing, tells me to get it ready and put it in the oven, me never having eaten or baked this before. And I said, well, you know, your mom's not going to be home from work for quite a while. And she says, I know, but she says, make it now. So I made it then, and of course, by the time supper rolled around, it was dry, and it made me look like a very poor cook. Anyhow, I'm not sure if she did that on purpose or not, but I like to think that she didn't. What you're going to need for this is 7/8 of a cup of plain all-purpose flour. Now, what is 7/8 of a cup? That's a very odd measurement, and I remember thinking that through the years, but what I do is I measure out a 1/2 cup of flour plus a 1/4 cup of flour plus an 1/8 cup of flour, and that gives you 7/8 of a cup of flour, and the equivalent in grams is 123 grams. You will also need 1/4 cup of sugar, 4 teaspoons of baking powder, and a teaspoon of salt. And then you'll need 1 cup of cornmeal. Now, cornmeal is very similar to a fine grained polenta. In the UK, this is what I used to use, was a fine grained polenta. But you don't want the self-raising cornmeal. You want just plain, ordinary yellow cornmeal. So you mix all that together in a bowl until it's well combined. And that's your dry ingredients mixed together. Maybe I should have used a larger bowl. I think I can manage with this one, but if I were you, I'd use a slightly larger bowl. Now, your wet ingredients involve 1 cup of milk, and I always use whole milk, and that's because I just can't be bothered to keep different kinds of milk in my house. I keep one and I use it for everything. But you could use 2%, you could use skim, I would imagine. My mother-in-law always had powdered milk in the house. They didn't have much money when my husband was growing up, and so powdered milk reconstituted was the order of the day. So to this 1 cup of milk, you're going to add 1 egg, oop, that splashed, and 1/4 cup of oil, or 1/4 cup of melted Crisco. Now, I use light olive oil. I don't like to use Crisco these days. It's just not, I just don't really like using it. Anyhow, this is 1/4 cup of light olive oil, which is good for cooking with. So you add that to your egg and your milk, and then you beat those 3 things together. Until they're pretty much mixed together. And you're going to want to make a little bit of a well in the middle of your dry ingredients. And you're going to pour your wet ingredients into that well. Now what you want to do is to mix the 2 of those together, just to combine. You don't want to over mix it. It's okay when you're making a quick bread to have a few lumps. Here's where I'm thinking I should have had a larger bowl, but never mind. I'm just going to go with it. It's too late to turn back now. Anyhow, just mix this together until it's well combined. Making sure that you dry in all the dry ingredients from the side. And as I said, a quick bread is okay to have a few lumps in it. You're best not to overmix things like a quick bread, because if you do, there's a possibility that they could end up tough. So a few lumps are okay. Make sure you get all the dry stuff from the bottom. It's nothing worse than thinking you've got everything all mixed together, then going to pour it in the pan and finding a great big layer of dry stuff on the bottom of your bowl that didn't get mixed in. This is a really nice cornbread. Now you can make it, as I said before, you can do it as muffins, or you can do it in a square or a round pan. Now this is an 8-inch square pan. I have done it in a 9-inch round cake tin before. It's up to you, and it's all dependent on exactly what you have in the house to work with as far as bakeware goes. There, so that's all mixed together. As you can see, it's not totally smooth, but it's not full of a huge amount of lumps either. So I've got my pan here, and I'm just going to scrape this batter into my pan. Now's where a spatula would have been nice to have. However, I didn't plan right. That's me. What can I say? Spread it out in your pan as best as you can. It's a fairly thick batter. It's not really thin. And there you have it in the pan and ready to go. Now this is going to be baked in a 400-degree oven or 200 degrees centigrade. So that's 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 degrees centigrade for approximately 20 minutes. When it's done, it'll be it'll be dry on the top, slightly golden brown around the edges. The top will spring back when you touch it lightly, and a toothpick inserted in the center will come out clean. So now I'm going to put this in the oven, and I'm going to set my timer. And hopefully this time my timer won't drive anybody crazy. My sister thought the ticking of the timer was really annoying the last time. However, I don't find it that annoying. Okay, now I'm going to get these few things out of the way here so that I can start my next recipe, which is this delicious corn chowder. So, I'm going to turn my little oven thing on here. I'm going to put it on about medium-high heat, and I've got my saucepan here. Funny thing about these saucepans, I'll tell you, when I first moved into my house, I didn't have anything. As I say, I came from the UK with nothing but 2 suitcases, so I didn't really have a lot as far as cooking materials and utensils and things went. So I decided that I was going to order myself an air fryer, and I ordered it from the Bay. Well, the day came, and inside this big box that was delivered was not an air fryer, but a set of, what are they called? Langostina saucepans. So I contacted the Bay, and I said, you know, there's been a mistake. You've sent me the wrong thing. And they told me to keep them, and they would get to the root of it. Anyways, I never did get the air fryer, but I ended up with a really nice set of pans that I only paid the cost of an air fryer for. So I was not going to complain. Now, for this, you're going to need an ounce of either streaky bacon or pancetta. I've used pancetta today, and I'm just going to add a touch of oil to this pan. I need to get myself one of those little oil pourers. And I'm going to add the pancetta to this pan. Now you can use like streaky bacon or what's it also just bacon in North America. It's not streaky or any other name, just ordinary bacon. But I had these cubes of pancetta that I wanted to use up. Now pancetta is really nice. Now I've also used ham in this, which works very well. As I said before, this is something that I used to make my family after church when we would get home on Sundays. Everybody would be starving and they'd want something to eat right away. And this was quick, it was easy, it was delicious, and they really enjoyed it. At least I think they enjoyed it. Nobody complained. So you want to cook this pancetta until it starts to brown and render out some of its fat. Can you hear it sizzling? Smells nice. Now, this is a little bit different than some of the corn chowders I've seen out there. You'll see varieties of corn chowder that add frozen corn or corn cut right off the cobs, or Some of them will simmer the corn cobs in with the liquid to infuse it with more flavor. You know, corn chowder can get really fancy and it can get really expensive. My chowder is a very simple thing. It basically uses what I have in the house. And my corn ingredient is a simple can of creamed corn. Now, or May creme, or here, the English, creamed corn. Cream style corn. That's what I use. I find that, and you can add some whole kernel corn to it if you wish, but I just use that. So you're going to let this cook until the pancetta starts, or your bacon, starts to brown and render off some of its fat. Now, along with that, you're going to need, and I've got all these in one bowl, you're going to need 2 medium carrots peeled and chopped coarsely, 1 medium onion peeled and chopped coarsely, and 2 stalks of celery trimmed and chopped coarsely. Now, I used to add some of the leaves chopped up with that, but I didn't have any leaves today, so what we're going to have is just the celery stalk itself. I find that living on my own, I just can't use a whole head of celery, so I tend to buy my celery either in already cut up sticks, or there's these little tubs of celery sticks that I can get at my local grocery store. And the sticks are, I don't know how to show you that, they're about 2 to 3 inches long, and they're ready for people to use with dip or what have you. But for me, for cooking, that suits my purpose fine. Now you're going to add these to the pancetta along with its rendered oil. I'm trying to remember what this is called, what I learned in chef school, what this is called. This mix of carrot, onion, and celery. There's a special name for it, but it escapes my brain at the moment. Anyhow, I'll probably remember it at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's the way things go with me. I forget things right up, you know, at the time, and I think, and it won't come to me, and then later on at night or the next morning, all of a sudden, the word will come into my brain. And I know I'm not alone in that. My sister has the same problem. I think it's just one of the things that happens as you get older. So you're just going to cook these things until they start to soften a bit. Now you're also going to need 4 medium potatoes peeled and cut into chunks. Now I've peeled and cut my potatoes earlier and I've had them soaking in water. So just a moment, I'm going to drain them. Now you can use any old potato for this that you want. I've used russet potato because that's what I have in the house. Piece of potato there. So I'm going to add the potatoes to this saucepan now, so they can cook and get a little bit tender. Anyone else having a problem with fruit flies at the moment? We seem to go through seasons. Early in the spring, late in the spring, early in the summer, we have ants. I live in a very sandy area, and the ants are just terrible. It seems like I battle them for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then around this time of the year, usually around the time that the apple crop is coming into fruit, we get fruit flies. I've got some of those little taro, I think they're called taro, fruit fly bait stations, and I know that there's all kinds of things that people do to catch them. Pouring some cider vinegar into a small bowl and wrapping some plastic wrap over the top really tight and poking a few holes in it. That's quite effective as well. But I find these taro traps work really well. But until I get rid of them, they just about drive me mad. It's a very English expression, I guess. Something driving you mad. It's another way of saying crazy. Mirepoix. That's the word I was looking for. Mirepoix. Now, a mirepoix is a combination of aromatic vegetables such as carrots, celery, onion, garlic. Anyways, it'll be cut into a fine dice and then softened in a bit of butter or oil. And it's usually the base for many sauces and gravies. See, I knew I'd remember it eventually. It just took me a while. Okay, so I've got those in there now. They're starting to soften. And I have here a quantity of, you can either use 2 cups of water or you can use 2 cups of stock. I'm using stock today because I have it, but when the kids were growing up, stock wasn't something I used to have in my house, so I used to use water. So you're just going to pour that in over your vegetables. You want to make sure that all of your vegetables are covered. So I'm going to season that with just a little bit of salt. If you'd probably use more salt if you were just using water, but because I've used stock, I'm just using a little bit of salt because the stock tends to be a little bit salty sometimes, and a bit of pepper. Also, one thing that you're going to need is an herb called summer savory. Now, this, I understand, is not available everywhere. So you can use something like mixed herbs. When I was in the UK, I couldn't get this. When I would come home to visit my mom, I would bring some back with me, but I would often run out. So I would use a mix of thyme, marjoram, perhaps a bit of sage, some parsley. But this is summer savory. And it's grown here in the Maritimes. You really can't get this anywhere else. We use it to make our stuffing at Thanksgiving, to season chicken. I put it in stews. I put it in soups. I put it in a lot of things. And it's really got a lovely... the flavor is quite... The smell... It smells like stuffing is what it smells like. But you're going to need a half a teaspoon of this. That's a quarter of a teaspoon, so there, half a teaspoon of that. And it's just going to add a lovely herby note. And as I said, you can use thyme, marjoram, sage, parsley. So just let this come to the boil. And then once it boils, you're going to leave it to simmer for, I suppose maybe 10 to 15 minutes until the vegetables are nice and tender. So there it is. It's come to the boil now. I'm going to just turn it down a little bit and let it come to a simmer. So this is such a busy time of year. Parents are getting their children ready for school to start back. I know all of my grandsons are starting back at school the day after tomorrow. And my granddaughter. My two oldest grandsons are starting a whole new page in their life. One is off to college. And I think he's taking, what does it call it? Mechanical engineering, or anyway, whatever he's taking, he's going to be making small metal parts for cars and machines and stuff like, is it metal machinery? Anyways, whatever, that's what he's taking. And the other one is off to university, and he's doing a degree. I'm not sure exactly what the degree is in. I've forgotten these things. Sometimes they go into my brain and they leave almost as soon as they go in. That's one of the joys of getting older and aging. I wish you could smell this herb. It's really nice. It says on it, this comes from Farmer John's, and it says on it, a natural taste for stuffing, beans, potatoes, eggs, and meat dishes. And this is a product of Nova Scotia, and I tell you, we just love it here. There's a recipe on the back for Farmer John's savory stuffing. And my sister and I, we use this when we make our Newfoundland stuffing. Now, Newfoundland stuffing is very simple. It's just a matter of soft breadcrumbs mixed with some butter, onion. We add a little bit of celery, this, salt, and pepper. And it's really, really nice. You can add a little bit of stock to it if you want, but not very much because you don't want it to be really soppy. One of our favorite things to do is we go to this place called Johnny's, which is just up the valley from where we are, up in Berwick, and they have what's called the True Neuf poutine. Now, poutine is a Canadian dish. It's composed of French fries topped with hot gravy and cheese curds. The gravy has to be, well, the heat of the French fries and the gravy melt the cheese curds. But in this True Neuf poutine, they top it with a quantity of Newfoundland stuffing, and we just love it. It's one of our favorite things to order when we go there. I also make it at home. I've got a recipe on the blog for it, which is very good. But this is what we use to make that Newfoundland stuffing. Funny story about that poutine one time. My sister and I had gone out to lunch at this Johnny's. Now, it's not really a restaurant. It's more like a takeaway place. And we had gotten our poutine, and we were sitting over on some picnic tables, at a picnic table under some trees. And we were just getting ready to tuck in. And this fly was really, really annoying us. It was buzzing around and buzzing around. And I kept like swishing it away. I didn't want it to land on my meal. Well, this one time I swished it, it went from mine and landed right in the middle of my sister's poutine, and she hadn't even taken a bite yet. It was just laying there on its back, and my sister, there was no way that she could eat her dinner after that with this fly sitting in the middle. Some people might have been able to just pick the fly out and carry on, but she couldn't, and neither could I. So she had to go and get herself a whole new poutine. And we were both very careful after that. Now, whenever we eat out together, if there's a fly around, my sister always cautions me not to wave the fly in her direction. And I don't blame her. That wasn't very nice. Anyways, you're going to simmer that until all of the vegetables are tender. I don't want a lot of dead airspace here, so if I can figure it out, and I'm not really sure about how to do these things, but if I can figure it out, I might speed it up at this point when it comes to being done. But that cornbread is going to come out of the oven really soon now. Oh, I wish you could smell this. Smells really good, and I haven't even put the corn in yet. I should actually taste that broth, just to see if it's got enough seasoning in it. Oh yeah, it's got plenty. Okay, where am I going to put this cornbread when it comes out? Let's move that there. Just pardon me, I'm just going to get a trivet to be able to put my cornbread on when it comes out of the oven. And it's going to come out any minute now. Just a minute. There's my trivet. Do you like this? Got this at Dollarama. I think it was only a couple of dollars. I fell in love with it. I love the look of the old seed packets on it. Okay, let's take this out of the oven here and see what it's like. See if it's done. Perfect. And as you can see, it's just a little bit golden brown on the top. The top springs back when lightly touched, and I'm sure if I stuck a toothpick in the center, you would see that it comes out clean. It smells really nice. Okay, let's see here. See, it comes out clean. Now this is not a really fancy cornbread. If you're looking for fancy, I've got loads of fancy cornbread recipes on my site. There's honey cornbread, there's custard cornbread, which is really nice. All kinds of cornbread. There's cornbread muffins, there's, you name it, there's cornbread. Let's see, put this here where you can see it. I can't wait to tuck into a piece of that. And these are simmering and softening. So what's one of your favorite things? What's something that you used to make your family when they were growing up that they used to love? Something that was quick and easy and economical and delicious. Something that the family really enjoyed. I know this would make a great supper for school nights when the kids come home from school and they're really, really hungry and starving, wanting something to eat. And it's what I also like about it is that it's fairly economical. It doesn't cost a lot of money to make, and it doesn't take a lot of time. Oh, those potatoes are now soft, so I can go on with the recipe. So once you've got your vegetables all softened, you're going to want to add your cream corn. Let's get this lid off here. Oops. Carefully get this lid off here. Now I don't like to pour it right into the thing in case it splashes up. You just pour your cream corn in, and that is a 398 milliliter tin of cream corn or 14 ounces of liquid. Now sometimes it can be quite difficult to find that in the UK, but they were having it. I mean, I was able to find it before I left to come back to Canada, so you can get it there now. This is 2 cups of milk. So you pour that in and you let that heat through and simmer through. Now at this point, if you wanted to, you could add a can of corn niblets drained, or a cup of frozen corn and just let it heat through. But I always just use the cream corn. It works fine for me. And I also like to add a little knob of butter. Now, a knob of butter is whatever you want it to be. To me, it's just like a nice knob of butter. Probably a good heaped tablespoon of butter. You just let that all melt and heat through. You do not want this to boil once you've added the cream, the milk and the cream corn. But you do just want it to heat through. Now this is really nice served just as is with crackers, bread, rolls, cornbread. Sometimes if you're feeling really fancy, you could top it with a bit of grated cheese, which is very nice. But for today, we're just going to have this as is. I'm going to get another spoon here and I'm going to taste it and see. My magic spoon. I got that with some cereal that I ordered. I'm just going to taste it to see how the seasoning is, if it needs any more. No, it tastes just perfect to me. Now, let's see. I'm going to get my bowl here and my plate. This is going to be lunch today. Well, actually, the way I eat these days, it's probably going to be dinner. So I'm going to cut myself a little square of cornbread here so you can see how nice that is. I put this next to my bowl. Well, let me just take that off there for now. I'm going to split it in half so you can see inside. And I'm just going to put a little bit of butter on it. Spread it with a bit of butter. I'm looking forward to this. There we go. There's my cornbread. And now we're going to have my corn chowder. Where's my soup ladle? Let's see here. So give this a bit of a stir. So I get some of everything. Move it a little bit closer. And then I'm going to ladle some of this into my bowl. Doesn't that look yummy? Looks delicious with all those cubes of pancetta and carrot and onion, potato. Just a really, really nice bowl of chowder. Let's see, I'm gonna have a little taste here. Let me get some onion. Let's see, some onion, some potato, a little bit of, where's that pancetta? Oh, there we go. I'm trying to get some of everything in here. But certain things keep escaping me. I want potato. Huh, there we go. There we go. A little bit of everything. Some of that cream. I'm gonna have to blow on it because it's very, very hot. That is really good. Let me put you up here. That's really, really delicious. I'm slowly getting better. Oh, you can tell it's really humid today. My hair's taking on a life of its own. I hate that part of getting older when you get all these little short curly hairs around your face. That's really delicious. And of course, the cornbread. is just going to go perfectly with it. So that's my video for this time. A delicious, simple soup, chowder, and some cornbread to enjoy with it. Something that I thought you might enjoy for having for supper in these early days of September, when the days are just starting to get that little bit cooler and your days are busy with people starting back up with their fall activities and things. And economical, delicious, simple to make, and something that I thought you might enjoy. So that's my video for this time. I'm not sure what I'll do next time, but I will be back. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed what I've shared with you today, do give me a thumbs up. Give me 2 thumbs up. I don't think you're able to do 2 thumbs up, but just give me 1 thumbs up anyways. If you haven't already subscribed, do subscribe. Every subscriber is important to me and helps me in the long run. And do leave a comment. I really love to hear from you. I enjoy the feedback, positive or negative, one way or the other. It's really important to me that I hear from you, and I'm open to suggestions. I would like for you to leave me suggestions of things that you would like for me to cook in the future. Anything really. If you've liked it, tell me. If you don't like this, tell me, and everything in between. I hope you have a super, super Labor Day. Enjoy whatever it is that you're going to get up to today. Stay safe, stay happy, and as always, don't forget, God loves you and I love you too. I'll see you again soon.